Have you got a game around the corner and you're barely in a state to remember the PC's names? Just nothing left in the tank. I never knew what to say to folks in that situation because I haven't been in that situation, at least in sort of recent memory, until just this month. Because I just wrote a 160-page adventure module in 6 months. And let me tell you, I'm real tired. I'm really very tired. I think it's fair to say that I'm a little burnt out. In a way that I just haven't been in ages. Maybe even since I first discovered the hobby and got excited about it to the degree that I'd over-prep and spend a bunch of time on making everything as cool as I could, take on new projects, new games, and then suddenly the weight of it all was just unbearable. So if you're in that situation, let me see if we can relate my situation to yours and find a way through it. Welcome to Mystic Arts, where I have a headache and a cold and a desperate desire to rest. My name is Daði, I'm a professional writer and director, and I've been DMing for a little over a decade. Someone in our Patreon exclusive Discord just asked, I'm 1 foot into DM burnout due to running 4 games per month, and I always tend to prepare a lot. I can't turn it off. And I'm having way less fun DMing anymore, as there is so much content I have in my backlog I need to read or watch or listen or practice that it's beginning to feel like work. And our Discord community members directed them to my video from 6 months ago, called 6 Ways to Inspire DMs and End Burnout. And it was about these sort of 6 little tricks and things that you could do to inspire yourself to get excited about the game again. Only I don't know if that's what that person needed to hear. So here's to you, Sissivs, and let me see if I can tell you one more thing about burnout. I think burnout is largely a state of being that comes to exist when you get so excited that you start layering projects on top of each other until they become this kind of overbearing workload because of everything you committed yourself to. You know, you might be in a situation where you've got, like you say, multiple games going, you're adding all of them on top, and you've decided to make maps and encounters and custom NPCs. You're building to make this unique player experience for the people who play at your table, and over time it just becomes a lot. Familiar with that loop because I live that loop. That is sort of who I am as a creative person. I kind of have this constant need to add new projects to my plate. Whenever there is less to do than usual, I have fewer projects than usual, I inevitably end up turning around and talking to my girlfriend AB, who sits behind me, and saying, what if we did this project? And she'll look and say, and what about these other things you're doing? And then I have to take a serious assessment of how important the thing I'm talking about really is to me. And my problem is that there are always just so many things I want to be doing. I'm publishing a digital magazine, I'm working on an actual play, I'm doing all these things, and they all make me excited. They all feel like a blessing that I get to be able to do these things. I get to put content in front of people and somebody will watch it or read it, or even if it's an adventure, they'll run it. And I couldn't be luckier. And I bet you feel the same way if you got players at your table and they all have a great time and you now realize that you have a captive audience, that if you go put content in front of them, and if you put a lot of work into it, they'll see it and they'll realize it's good stuff. And then you'll feel like you can do more, you can do better. And over time, it just becomes a lot. And over time, it just becomes a lot to deal with until eventually I find myself catching up last minute. And instead of having videos planned weeks in advance like I do sometimes, I'm here filming one straight to camera the day before it goes live because that's where I'm at that moment. That is just how tight it has become, and it's become difficult to work because it can be a lot, even though, and this is the important bit, even though it is a blessing that you get to do it and you're having fun doing it and every single part of it is rewarding, there comes a point where you are asking more of yourself than you are capable to deliver. And that's where you begin to feel the suffering of what if I don't deliver? What if I'm late? What if I'm not on time? What if it's not as good as usual? And you start beating yourself up. And I think that's where that cycle of burnout tends to come from, when you're over-promising because you're used to meeting your expectations. So you say, I'm going to go do this incredible thing. And then you have to go meet it. And when you achieve that, it feels so rewarding. It's like you're king of the world. And then eventually you don't have the fuel left in the tank to go meet that crazy high bar you set yourself. But the important thing to remember is that you're a person and you will not always be at 100%. Nobody is. I'm not. People we look up to or someone we think a lot of, when they don't meet that bar, we're forgiving of them. But for some reason, we don't allow ourselves to be that forgiving of us. For some reason, we are supposed to be above it all because we expect more from us than we do from others. And that's not healthy. I think there's a lot of value in that video I made 6 months ago talking about all the different kinds of tips and tricks that you can do to get yourself inspired, whether that's go watch a movie, go read a monster manual, go do something else with new and fresh input that you can then get inspired by and put that into your game. But I think that's only half the story, because the other half is that this is a real thing and you kind of need to accept it. I mean, you kind of need to get to a point where occasionally you allow yourself to a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit, phone it in. Before we get into this, I'm going to talk about the sponsor of today's episode, Machines of Bone and Blood. Explore the horrors of a necro-industrial revolution, a world in which steam power has been replaced with burning souls and everyday workers are replaced with tireless skeletons. There are 2 new classes, not subclasses, classes. Master Undeath with a Necromancer class, a 3/4 caster with dedicated undead minions, or you can horrify your foes as the Abomination class. Build up Frenzy as you support your allies before transforming into a martial monster. Explore dozens of new subclasses, over 100 new spells, and get your graft on with Necrografting, which allows you to enhance your body and lose your soul with undead enhancements. And if now here in the age of AI you wanted to play as a Luddite, you can rise up to smash the soul factories before they bring the whole world to misery. The Kickstarter is live right now. Go click the link in the description so they know who sent you. I'm someone who runs a whole lot of my homebrew game, my homebrew world. I make up NPCs and encounters and plots and stories and characters. I make my own mechanics. I go kind of crazy with this stuff. And I love it. It is the most fun I ever get to have. But it is work, and it's kind of deceptively work, because it's fun and fun and fun and fun and fun, and then I make something and it's fun, and then I'm tired. You ever have that thing after a session where you ran a great session and all you want to do right now is go to sleep? You know, the players might want to talk about the session, they might want to say, oh, I like this bit, I like that bit, and I'm sitting there just sinking into the back of my brain going, ooh, I need to relax. I'm done. It's over. I did it. So what I like to do sometimes is take stuff from published books or modules, things that are already D&D content, and rip it apart, mix and match it just a little so that it becomes my own, so that I feel like I'm doing the creative work, but in actuality I wouldn't have gotten anywhere near it except for the fact that I was, stealing. I was using other people's stuff at my table. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's why they make that stuff and publish it, so that you can use it at their table. As somebody who makes adventures, nothing makes me happier than when people use it at their table. So absolutely go take adventures and run them. And you could do all kinds of stuff to them. You don't need to treat them as holy texts or anything. For instance, in my solo campaign I run for AB, my girlfriend, she is playing through sort of my own version of the, Ravenloft Domains of Dread thing and going into various different Domains of Dread. And I had been running Lamordia out of Anrichten's Guide to Ravenloft, and I'd leafed through it. I'd found some plot hooks in it, and I thought, these are all quite exciting. I kind of like all of these. Let me go make something up, something new, featuring Dr. Victor Mordenheim, Baron von Aubrecker, and Ludendorff University. And I went and flipped through, found monsters that fit, and now was crafting my own story. I did that for one session. They had a decent time, and then 2 weeks went by and I didn't have it in me to go make up everything all over again or sort of get back into whatever it was I was creating. So for the next session, I went on D&D Beyond and I went and searched through adventures that I thought could work. I leafed through DM's Guild and other stuff like that, but eventually I found a supplementary adventure for Planescape called The Mortuary. And I realized that this setting from Ravenloft is kind of, body horror, science gone wrong, Frankenstein-esque. And the Mortuary is a neighbor of it. It's got these undead gone wrong inside this massive endless labyrinth. And I thought, what if I just take the Mortuary and it is a basement inside Ludendorff University. So the Mortuary is a Planescape adventure. Ludendorff University is a sentence mentioned in a couple of Van Richten's Guide pages in Lamordia. That's on top. They go into the basement and they go play parts of the Mortuary. Not all of it, not the entire adventure, but 3 encounters I liked. I tore them apart. I grabbed Factol Skal, I grabbed the animated coffins, put them in there, and now suddenly I was having a great time running a session that I could sort of run out of my back pocket without having to invent a bunch of stuff. And in thinking about this video, I was thinking about how artists use reference. AB, for example, does art. She's studying drawing and art school, and does these illustrations for the broadsheet, and so does our friend Brimrun. And the two of them were talking about their art process, and AB discovered how much references play a part in Brimroon's process. How both of them now realize that they can take pictures of poses or faces, they can photo bash them together, they can cut out chunks, they can eyedropper tool, literally go pick this color value from a picture they like, maybe not even the reference photo, and go draw in the clothes in that color. And they can eyedrop that color in the shade and that color in brightness, and that way they can do the rendering of the different shades of the fabric. And they discover when they started doing this, their art looks better and gets done faster, and it causes them less burnout. And the same comes true with writing. Maybe you like Critical Role, you like the Dawn War from Matt Mercer's setting. Well, you can go take that idea, take those gods and put them in your game. Hell, that's where the Dawn War pantheon comes from. It's from 4th edition. Matt Mercer didn't make it up. He stole it, added to it, and put it in front of his players. You can do the same thing. You can take things that already have a lot of baggage to them, like positive baggage. They feel like heavy, weighty concepts or topics. For instance, when I run my elemental planes, I like taking the names of things from our mythology, whether it's Olympus or Xanadu or Atlantis, and saying those are real places in my elemental planes. I've never done any world building for them. I don't know. Nobody's ever been there. I don't know what they're like, but just saying the greatest city in the plane of water is called Atlantis, that creates a certain kind of evocative imagery where it is now exciting to go there. And it didn't cost me any work. It is burnout free. You know what I mean? It is fertile ground for me to steal and make my own in a way that doesn't cost me anything, doesn't take a lot of work. So if you're the kind of DM and you're making maps, you're making monsters, you're making minis, for your next session, give yourself the week off and go run something someone else has figured out. Go try it. Come in with an open mind, test those things, see if you like them. You don't need to go reinvent the wheel this week. Just run a session. I relate to this a lot in terms of me being a professional director. I think the best directing tip I ever got was sit down, you're tired. This feels like a non sequitur, but I promise it's important. There's so much time you spend on a film set or in a studio or whatever, where you're walking between the camera, you're walking to the monitor, you're walking to talk to the actors, you walk to talk to the gaffer, you're trying to sort of figure out the shape of the scene. The actors do some running as a part of the scene. You run along with them so that you're sort of in the thick of it with all your players, your actors. And then you're exhausted, but you can't tell because you are in the middle of directing and you don't get to be tired right now. I get that all the time as a dungeon master. There's 50 things going on in my head. I'm trying to remember the DCs, the AC, who's going when and where, what I was going to say next. Oh, I have to remember that this person has a cool ability and they're going to want to do a thing right now. All of these things sort of take up mental load. So when the session's over, I have that drop down I talked about before where you go, and I have to relax. So as a DM, sit down. You're tired. You might already be sitting, but I mean like mentally sit down. Try running something straight out of the box. Try running something super simple. Try setting up a session where you bounce the ball all over to the players and just let them role play. Try giving them 3 or 4 prompts and see what they do with it. You don't need to make it super complicated. You don't need to do all the prep, get all the maps ready, do all those things. For your next session, try just sitting down and relaxing. And see if you can do a session that allows you to relax. Like a YouTuber doing a video straight to camera, hoping that it allows him to relax. Because ultimately, the thing that makes you a good artist is also how often you get up to the plate to bat. We talked about this in a different video, about the difference between quality and quantity, and how, quantity has a quality all to itself. The more you go do a thing, the more experienced you are at doing said thing, and the easier it is for you to do it. Now, having said all that, there is a point to the contrary. There is a reason that so far you get a lot of mileage out of piling projects on top, because it gets you excited. And you do your best work when you're excited and when you're not phoning it in. And these 2 bits of advice I'm giving are contradictory, but they are important that you understand both of them. When you're excited, you are rushing out the door. You are going to go to hell and back to make sure that your players have a good time. You are going to make something amazing. And the desire to make something amazing is going to make it amazing. That is motivation, and it's going to land at the table. So if you're really excited about making stat blocks, go chase that excitement. just try and remember the other side of the ball, which is you are allowed to relax in other aspects. Maybe this week's session, you have a special monster you made up, or a group of monsters or something. Make it about that. Don't worry about anything else. Don't make a map for a dungeon. Go grab somebody else's dungeon. Go run a goblin dungeon, but replace the goblins in there with your own. Do one thing that makes you excited. Make it be about this one thing that makes you excited. Don't do the thing that makes you excited, and the thing that made you excited last week and now also has to get done. That's going to lead to the burnout. Just chase the one object that really gets you going, that really gets you hyped. That's the kind of stuff I'm doing right now at the channel. I did this adventure. It's 160 pages called Crown of the Fungal Queen, and it took me out. I am now trying to find new ways to get excited again, and I have a lot of them, and you will be seeing normal Mystic Arts videos any day now. And in fact, I think they're going to be cooler than ever because I have been trying to find ways to get myself back into getting that hype going, but instead of doing everything, just picking the thing that I'm excited about right now and chasing that. And with everything else, remember to sit down. You're tired. And that's where we'll pick it up next time. This channel is run by me and my girlfriend. If you want to support us directly, go check out our Patreon. Come join our Discord, say hi, ask questions. We have a video request channel, so if there's something you think we should cover that we haven't already, go put it in there and I'll add it to the list. If you're feeling especially generous, you might like the video, comment, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified when we release new videos. And until next time, keep studying the Mystic Arts.